You had good intentions, Twilight, but you know that the truth is always better than a well-meant lie.
It's that time again. The season roundups are back. For the uninitiated, what I do in these videos is that I take all the episodes that aired within the highlighted month and give my thoughts on them. And since season 8 started at the end of March, I decided to compile March and April's episodes into one roundup. So, let's see what we're working with. Episodes 1 and 2. Episodes like School Days benefit most from the roundup format because taking the time to wait before giving my thoughts helps me look at the episode without the hype behind it. Last season's finale left a bad taste in my mouth, and I was getting sick of the types of villains that DHX likes to pretend are sympathetic. So when School Days came out and turned out to be a low-stakes premiere that didn't try to make its villain sympathetic, it was a breath of fresh air that I desperately needed. Once that feeling died down though, School Days was just an okay premiere. It does the bare minimum to be a self-contained story so that it's not all set up and nothing else like a certain other episode. The moments where we had to deal with the racist old windbag were great. I mean, you can't go wrong with a story about fighting a bigot, but once he's off screen, we end up with a lot of dead air where the story just goes through the motions. After the premiere, a lot of people asked me who my favorite character of the Young Six was, and I was honestly confused because they haven't really done anything. They were only in one episode at that point and they weren't even the main focus. That's nowhere near enough to leave a lasting impression. I did end up looking forward to what the season had to offer by the end, so I wouldn't say that it's a bad premiere, but if I had to sum up School Days in one word, it would be obligatory. Episode 3. The synopsis of the mod couple had me feeling very apprehensive about the episode, especially since it sounded like another rock-solid friendship. And it was, but I didn't expect that it would be infinitely better. The big issue with Rock Solid Friendship and other episodes like it was that there wasn't a counterpoint to Pinky's antics. There wasn't a character or force working against or challenging her, so she just ends up being constantly annoying for 20 minutes. The mod couple introduces that counterpoint in the form of Mudbriar, who's simply not having any of Pinky's shit. Unlike Maud, who passively lets Pinky's actions roll off her back, Mudbriar pushes back against them. Not out of malice, but because he's just as irritatingly stubborn as Pinky is. The unstoppable force has met the immovable object. What really drives the episode home though is when Limestone shows Pinky where she messed up. This scene serves the same narrative purpose as the strawberry scene from Honest Apple. Both AJ and Pinky couldn't pick up on what they did wrong intuitively, and it took a character that knew them very well to show them in a way that they could understand. Limestone makes up for what Maud lacks. Maud tends to coddle Pinky to the point of compromising her own happiness and comfort. Limestone, on the other hand, doesn't mince words. She just flat out says, "Hey, you're being an immature brat. Here's where you messed up. Now go fix it." The mod couple does the one thing that episodes like A Friend Indeed and Rock Solid Friendship were missing. It actually shows Pinky learning the lesson and leaves time for her to demonstrate that she has learned something rather than excusing her for it or just hand-waving it off. A lot of people complained about how annoying Mudbriar was, but he isn't any more annoying than your average nerd. This guy is a new favorite. I'd break bread with this dude. I'd invite him to the cookout. He can have my Netflix and Hulu passwords. Mudbriar, you're the real MVP. Episode 4. In almost every roundup, there's at least one episode that I don't have much to say about, and there could be various reasons for that. It could be because the episode is boring and offers nothing to talk about. It could be because it's only mildly annoying and therefore I'd just be repeating myself. Or it could just be a fun episode that makes me laugh and nothing beyond that. Fake It Till You Make It is one of those episodes. It takes a character I like, puts them in a situation with a lot of comedic potential, and gets some good laughs out of me. I really enjoy episodes where a character gets wrapped up in playing a role, see Rarity Investigates, so having Fluttershy do it and take it up to 11 was pretty entertaining. Fake It Till You Make It just has fun and capitalizes on the jokes that this kind of story would bring, and it hits more often than it misses. Episode 5. If last month's parody video didn't make it obvious, I love this episode. Full disclosure, part of the reason why I enjoyed it was because it was an homage to my favorite sitcom of all time, and each character fit one of the Golden Girls to a T. Still, Granny's Gone Wild thankfully does not rest on the fact that it's an homage. Really, the similarities begin and end with the premise revolving around 4 older women. There's no reliance on making direct references to jokes or gags from the Golden Girls because the writers recognize that those references will be more than likely wasted on their target audience. And nothing ruins an homage faster than constantly saying, "Hey, we're referencing this old thing from the past. Aren't we clever?" What also helps is that the episode is just as much about Rainbow Dash as it is about the Gold Horseshoe Gals, and it's entertaining to see how far she'll go to get on that roller coaster. I've heard some folks say that it was AJ's fault for being so strict, but people seem to forget that all AJ said was to make sure they don't overdo things, and the voice in Dash's head was exactly that, a voice in her head. A voice fueled by her own fears. Like a lot of episodes this season, Granny's Gone Wild takes its premise and has as much fun with it as it can, and it makes a lasting impression on me because of that. A good joke will always stick with you. Episode 6. There's not much I can say about Surf and or Turf when it comes to weaknesses. My only issue is that the CMC don't contribute much in their role. It felt like they could be replaced with any other character and the story wouldn't be any different. In the rest of the map episodes, with one notable exception, the characters that were called for each problem contributed to their solutions in ways that no other character could, like the problems were tailor-made for them to solve. There wasn't really anything about this conflict other than the closeness in age that made the problem feel like something suited for the CMC and only the CMC. Other than that, it was a very enjoyable episode, mainly for its theme. A common sentiment I've heard among the people that watched this episode was that it was an allegory for divorce, and I can see why they would come to that conclusion. Hell, I came to that conclusion at first. Terramar's parents were separated and he felt like he was forced to choose between 2 homes, and even mentions that he feels like he'd be letting someone down regardless of the choice he makes. But what hamstrings this allegory is this. When it comes to Terramar's decision, a lot of the factors he considers have to do with the respective lifestyles of hippogriffs and sea ponies. His dilemma lies more in where he's living rather than who he's living with. With that in mind, the episode comes off more as an allegory for multiracial children rather than children of divorce. When your parents come from 2 distinctly different cultures, you sometimes feel like you have to choose one. The episode focuses more on how hippogriffs and sea ponies live their lives and the perks of both, similar to how a multiracial child can see the different attractions that their different cultures have.
Well, it is a kid's show, so maybe the writers wanted to be subtle about the message.
Well, Kevin, if that was a conscious choice that they made, it's not a very good one. Firstly, divorce is anything but subtle. In order to properly address the issues it brings, you can't be subtle about it. You must be direct. Secondly, children and teenagers are the ones that are affected most by divorce, so why would you want to be subtle about it? Thirdly, the kids show argument doesn't hold much water when Sesame Street, a show with a target audience that's just as young, if not younger than MLPs, did an episode about divorce and directly addressed it. Regardless, the episode still effectively delivers the message that you don't have to choose. You can be or have both if that's what you want, and if your family loves you, they will support that decision 100%. And that is a theme that I support 100%. And we got a new MILF, so obligatory bonus points. Episode 7. Considering that a royal problem consisted of gratuitous fan pandering that was so-so at best, I honestly wasn't looking forward to horseplay. I just wasn't in the mood for an episode that claimed to be about one thing, only for said thing to be just bookends to the story rather than the actual focus. So to say that I was happy that horseplay ended up being none of that would be an understatement. Upon reflection, the thing that truly weakened a royal problem was that in spite of its supposed premise of Celestia and Luna mending their relationship as sisters, they spend the majority of the episode apart, accompanied by a character that they have little to no prior chemistry with. And to compensate for that lack of chemistry, they insert fan pandering with a thin veil of, "No, this is really about their relationship, trust me." Horseplay avoids all of these problems. Celestia is put front and center with a character that is more developed and has an established relationship with her, a relationship that helps their conversations feel more natural and contributes to the conflict. The conflict remains the focus of the episode, and the entertainment comes from the actual dialogue and conversations that the characters are having rather than flashy fanfic fuel. Horseplay is an episode that is confident in its premise and its character's ability to sell that premise without resorting to pandering or resting on the fact that Celestia fans have been starving for an episode about her for almost a decade. Between this episode, the mod couple, and another episode that we'll cover in the next roundup, Season 8 seems to have a habit of doing better versions of past episodes that were either mediocre or just flat out terrible. I'm okay with that. Hell, if we're lucky, maybe they'll retcon Shadowplay out of existence. So that does it for the April roundup. Since we'll be hitting the mid-season hiatus in early June, there will only be 2 episodes airing during that month. So, to avoid a similar situation to Season 6's June roundup, I'll be combining May and June into one roundup, similar to what I did today. So expect that to come out sometime in early July. Season 8 has left a very good impression on me so far, and even the episodes after today's batch really impressed me. So I'm looking forward to covering those when the time comes. So what did you think of these episodes? Swarm that comment section below or bug me on social media. Until next time, keep it sketchy, folks.